Okay, we all know the song, but have you ever thought about what happens when one of the biggest hits in hip-hop history becomes, well, kind of like a creative trap? Today, we're uncovering the story of the bold, risky, and fascinating album that dared to be different. Yeah, you know these words, you definitely know that beat. It was a worldwide smash that defined an entire era of West Coast music, and you can recognize it from the very first note. But that is the question, isn't it? When you create something that massive, something that universally loved, what do you do for an encore? How do you follow that up? Well, that's the story we're getting into today. To really understand what came next, we have to go back to the source. Oakland's own Yukmouth and Numskull, the duo behind that unforgettable anthem. Their debut, Operation Stackola, wasn't just a hit. It was a full-on phenomenon. It launched them onto the global stage and set this impossibly high bar for whatever their next move was going to be. And this is the classic artistic dilemma. Do you try to recreate the magic, give the fans more of what they loved and just play it safe? Or do you take a completely different path and risk it all for your creative vision? Well, the Luniz didn't just take a risk. They veered into the darkness, creating a follow-up album that absolutely no one saw coming. I mean, just look at this. The contrast really couldn't be starker. On one side, you have the massive, accessible hit machine. And on the other, a project that was intentionally way darker and far more experimental. That project was their sophomore album, Lunitik Muzik. And when it dropped 28 years ago today, it wasn't an accident. No, this was a conscious, deliberate pivot away from the exact sound that had made them famous. So what did this new sound, this new West Coast energy, actually consist of? All right, let's break it down. First, they leaned heavy into a gritty, unfiltered Bay Area funk. It was less polished, more raw, with this tough, undeniable groove that just felt like it was born on the streets of Oakland. And lyrically, they really became storytellers, weaving these detailed street tales that painted a vivid and often pretty harsh picture of life with all its complexities. And then they laced it all with their signature twisted humor. It was clever, sometimes morbid, but always sharp. It gave the album this unique personality that nothing else at the time could really touch. So when you put all those pieces together, you get a perfect time capsule of that late 90s West Coast vibe. It was the ultimate showcase for the incredible lyrical chemistry between Yukmouth and Numskull. So, how was this bold new sound received? Well, that's where the story of its legacy really begins. It wasn't an instant hit. Instead, it evolved from being overlooked to becoming a true cult classic. Commercially, it just couldn't escape the giant shadow of I Got Five on It. The album pretty much flew under the radar, especially when you compare it to their massive debut. And this brings up a fascinating question. Does a lower chart position mean it was a failure, or was it actually a profound creative success, just on its own terms? But over time, the narrative started to change. What was once maybe seen as a misstep was now being called a slept-on gem, a classic that true fans and critics discovered and championed for years to come. And why the change of heart? Because it started being valued for the very things that made it a commercial risk in the first place: its fearless creativity and its unwavering artistic integrity. Ultimately, it's seen as their definitive artistic statement, a testament to their fearless creativity and a lyrical chemistry that was somehow even more potent in this darker, more complex setting.
So, the crucial point here is this. Lunitik Muzik is the album that truly defined the Luniz as artists. It was the risk they took, not the chart position they achieved, that cemented their legacy.
And that leaves us with a bigger question to think about, doesn't it? For any artist, what is the ultimate measure of success? Is it the chart-topping single that everyone knows? Or is it the creative masterpiece that stands the test of time?